Hello, everyone, and welcome to a video produced by the UCI Esports program. My name is Mark Deppy, and I serve as the director for our organization. This video series is going to be called The Ins and Outs of College Esports Recruitment. We're going to have a series of conversations with folks within our program to help share what we've learned, how we operate in terms of recruiting. There's a lot of interest out there about how you find esports players, and so we're going to talk about that today. In our first video, it's going to be kind of a general overview, talking about some of the broad topics that we can go into more deeply later on. And we have some awesome guests with us today, two great leaders in our programs. I'm going to let them each introduce themselves, starting with Ronald.
Hi, so my name is Ronald Lee. I go by Renanthra online, and I'm the head coach for our Overwatch team. And I'll pass it on to my beloved partner in
Michael Coons, or some people may know me as and I'm the assistant coach here.
Well, cool. And before we jump in, I'll just mention we are in the interesting time of kind of dealing with the coronavirus. So all of my staff are working from home. Ronald and Michael always work from there, but I am not in the room as I typically would be. And one of my life situations is that, I'm supervising, educating, and engaging with my 4-year-old son. So you may see him pop into screen here if you need something, but I just want to forewarn people that we are in the coronavirus era of life right now. So with that said, I know our coaches have written down some topics they wanted to kind of go over in this first video, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I mean, Jace will be supervising us to make sure we get the job done correctly. But on the topic of recruitment, I know a lot of people are curious and interested about how esports teams kind of plan out the tryout process. Me and Mike get messages all the time from curious or aspiring players about how to join the program. Where can they get started? So our hope is this could help, right, Mike?
Yeah, I hope a lot of people find this useful, and we'll try to cater it more towards making sure that that's the case.
So I think a place we can get started is maybe talking about the scouting first. Where do we look? Where do our eyes kind of immediately dart when we're looking for potential prospects?
Right. There's several avenues that we take when we're looking for players, and some of those come from the Overwatch professional scene itself. Other ones might come from high schoolers that are graduating and are looking for a good university, and they're interested in Overwatch. They're a good player. Maybe they need some more help. These are the main ones that we're looking at, and we've done both so far, where we'll look into existing professional players or players in the tier 2 scene, and we'll reach out to them, talk to them, make sure that collegiate is something that they're interested in, if they're motivated to improve themselves by working towards a higher education.
Mm-hmm.
That's really one of the best places to find the existing players.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also the other avenue where we have a lot of younger players looking to go to collegiate. They're looking to further their education first, and then maybe Overwatch is their secondary aspiration, where they're really interested in playing and being part of a team and something bigger. So that's the next place that we look.
Yeah, so the motivations can totally vary. For some, they're already super into Overwatch, and it makes it a little bit easier to get our eyes on them. But for others, they might just be leaving high school, happen to be very good at Overwatch, but have no prior professional experience. And we work with both. So now, Mike, let's say we've picked out a couple of players we're interested in, or we have our eyes on certain pools. How do we inform these type of people about what the next steps are for them?
Right. So once we've identified players that we want, maybe we have worked with them in the past, being professional coaches or players, and we know that they would be a good fit already, that's when we're mostly looking to make sure they want to move into the collegiate scene, and we can do everything that we can to help them make that transition smooth. So it's giving them information about the university, dates and times that they need to know for applications and for other assistance.
Sometimes we even give them tours of the arena if they're local. Mark can, I think, talk a little bit about that. Like he's helped and seen many players come through those doors, and parents as well.
Yeah, like our coaches, we get a ton of interest from folks looking to understand what it takes to be an esports athlete with us. And we have a whole range of people who are just getting the games for the first time and want to just build that experience and expertise in order to play for a scholarship. Then we have some people who are phenomenally highly ranked players, but haven't done well academically. And so broadly speaking, we're looking for those unicorns that are both exceptional players near the professional caliber of skill, but also superstar students. So pretty big challenge for us. And so we engage with everybody. We have an online recruitment form. People can reach out to us and apply to kind of be evaluated. We look at their online rank. And so those are some of the ways that people can self-identify themselves for us. They can reach out to coaches or players in competitive games or on Twitter. Through Discord. There's a lot of different ways to get our attention. There's no one way to do it. There's no recruiting platform to date that really has everybody in it that is a really high value for schools like us. But yeah, we do talk to a lot of students and give them a lot of tours. We're in Southern California. There's a lot of gamers in our area. So and our arena's open to the public. So people come in, they might just walk in without an appointment. They might walk in with their parents. They might walk in on a tour. We have several events that we kind of identify as recruiting events. Those are typically big UCI open houses. So we have a fall preview day in the fall. In spring, we have an event called Celebrate UCI. So fall preview day is before you apply to UCI. Celebrate UCI is after you've been admitted, you get invited to that. So those are some of the opportunities that we intentionally put our staff in a space where we're ready to talk to people, but we're ready to go at all times to have conversations about this, because you never know when you're going to find someone who's a great fit for your program. And I'd say the probably most important thing about running a program is making sure you get the right people in it, and that's from a full-time staff to coaching to players. And so it's an absolutely critical piece of it. And finally, I'll just mention one last piece before we shift, but the vast majority of our players are normal UCI students who try out through just an open tryout process. So we recruit just a handful of players through this kind of official recruiting methodology we'll discuss. And the vast majority are just phenomenal students who are great gamers who once they show up on campus are interested in trying out. So those are some of the things that I just want to share up front.
Yeah, I kind of want to stress that we're not always and most often we're actually not going out of our way to contact established professionals or really big names. I think we'll go more in depth about the type of individuals we look for in a team, but you can find them all over the place. They might just wander in one day and we can tell there's something special about them, that they might be driven in a certain way, or we get a good vibe, or you might find them at summer camps, which we are hopefully holding this year, if everything pans well for us in the next few months. But players that may join the team come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and there's not one pool we're always looking from. There's several little ponds and streams we're fishing all the time, and we've been kind of lucky, if I'm going to be honest, in a lot of our candidates and recruits. I think we'll jump right into that and talk about tryouts. So Mike, how do we run the tryouts as the Overwatch coaches?
Yeah, and what we have to know when we're doing the tryouts is there's a lot of moving pieces. So we get a lot of help from our other staff in the arena that are located in California. Since Ren and I, we work remotely. So we have a lot of help from people like Hillary, our event staff coordinator, player staff coordinator, and Mark and Kathy, who help run the arena, as well as our managers. So that's where a lot of credit goes towards. But with us, what we're doing is similar to if you've ever tried out online for a team. We're having first an application where you can tell us about yourself and your experience as a player and as a person, so that way we can understand why you might think you're the right fit for the team. And then from there, we'll bring you into practices, whether it's online or at the arena, preferred at the arena, so that way everyone can meet you.
So just to clear out something, because we get this question all the time, every single day. You must already be a full-time student at UCI to access the application. Like you need your UCI email. So we don't try out any players before they are admitted. This is crucial.
Yeah. That is a very common question that we get.
And speaking of that, that is not typical. There are a lot of universities that are so interested in esports talent. They might admit you exclusively based on that. For UC schools and probably most major universities, there's a pretty rigorous application process and rigid time frame that you have to apply within. And so we don't have that flexibility. And so yes, we do require that you be a current UCI student to try out.
And then getting into the actual tryouts themselves, what we'll do is we'll hold a weekend where maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have a couple of different phases where if we've seen you play on day one, we like you, you're getting along with the team, you're calming well, then you can move to day two. And then from there, the same thing. If you're making the next cut, then you'll move to day three. And then from there, that's when we identify the players that we really like, we really want to keep as part of the team for the season, and then offer the scholarships after that.
Yeah, so the tryouts, for people that are curious in the extra minute details, sometimes you're playing a day with mostly the same people. The next day we might switch you up a bit. We might integrate players from previous year or alumni to give us their insight. And we do extensive interviews with the individuals we think we're interested in, to see if they mesh well with our team culture and they will contribute to a positive atmosphere. If maybe they might have poor reputations, or we've seen potential problems that are foreseeable, we'll address those. So we try to look forward and give everyone the best odds possible. But we are, I think, pretty picky, I'd say, right, Mike?
Yeah, we definitely would rather work with a player that can prove themselves to really want to be a part of the team, as well as have the skills needed that they're providing a lot of value towards making our team the best that it can be.
And we want to also make sure they can keep up in academics, because UCI has set a pretty high standard for education. And we're making sure also they have the time to commit. Some individuals aren't great when they first enter university at managing their time. Most players aren't great at managing their time at the start. So we kind of want to identify if those problems might be things we have to handle as well. And we have plenty of staff to take care of that. We have our sports psychs, we have our managers who are super on top of the ball with helping you maintain your class schedules and a healthy work-life balance. We have a whole ring of people employed here that help provide and cultivate our players the best they can. But we want to make sure we find players that can shape up and will use these resources to their fullest. So maybe Mark has something to add on that.
Always have things to add. I wanted to just add in like how important the interview is. So I, as the director and not Overwatch expert, I'm not a expert on gameplay and map rotations and hero pools and all those things. And so I really rely on them to find out who the best individual players are. And then at some point, we elevate people to an interview process once we like them. Just a second, real quick. Hey, Jace, can you go over there, please? Sorry, my son is playing in the kitchen with me here. So once we identify great players, we have a conversation, and as you said, Ronald, we want to address any problems that we see. So if people were getting tilted or yelling or banging the table during tryouts, or if they had a toxic reputation, or maybe they use problematic language on a stream, that's a chance for us to let them very clearly know, here's where our values are. If you want to be a part of this program, you're going to have to elevate your behavior to where we are. And so it's a really great opportunity to really drive home what you want your culture to be and what your expectations are going to be. And the other thing I wanted to touch upon is, and something that our coaches mentioned is we're more interested, I think, in the hungry player that's motivated, that wants to learn and grow, than someone that's already kind of been there and maybe achieved some success, that maybe doesn't feel like they have to work as hard, or maybe doesn't want to work as hard. I am so thrilled with how our team has performed this year, and it really was a bunch of rookie players being really well coached by our coaches, and now we're one of the best collegiate teams ever in Overwatch. So I would say don't always just think you have to live with the talent that you see. Know that your coaches, if you pick really great coaches, are going to help improve that. And if you build a really good culture, it's going to really improve quickly. So make sure you get good coaches, establish good culture, and make sure you weave in some sort of interview process so that you're setting expectations right from the front, because team conflict or players who are problematic, it's really going to hurt your team. And we've seen it many times over the years with us. So really proud of the culture our coaches have created, and couldn't be more excited for our team of all rookie players to really be coming together and gelling the way they have.
Yeah, I think Mark hit it on the head. It makes our jobs harder as coaches if we're also spending a ton of time being babysitters, right? Like working with a team that is able to take constructive criticism, to, I think, look at things critically, to take an outward look on their behavior and its impact on the team. These things will create teams with bad foundations to crumble before they even get a chance to rise to the occasion in tournament. You really don't want to be wasting more time on, I think, outward conflict than polishing in game when possible. So me and Mike are very diligent about, I think, selecting players that we know or we're confident in working with long term, because they won't be likely to kind of implode or anything like that. But I think we actually do have one prior contenders player on our team, or two actually, with Fade and Augo this year. So we do have a mix. But as Mark said, the vast majority of our roster this year are rookies, and we had a major turnover. I think last year we lost pretty much everybody. So it's a fresh. I think we're at 9 players this year, and I think like 7 of them are completely rookie players, never played professionally or amateur level at all. So we have some level of veteranship with rookies. So I think this segues beautifully into what I want to talk about next with Mike, and that's what components do we look for? What is our formula, Mike? Do we have a formula? Like what are we looking at?
Yeah, definitely. And it's important that we take in the whole picture of the team and all of the players that we're looking at in the pool. And these are the players that will have made it through maybe the first few days of tryouts. And now we're looking at how can we put all these individuals into a team together where they're going to boost each other up past the level that they would normally play at just by themselves, maybe in like solo queue. And what you really have to look at is finding different types of people with different personalities that bring other things to the table that someone else on the team might not bring or might not be good at. So that way we can play on all the individual strengths together to really bring out the best team. And to get more into the specifics of that, it might be something like even their personality. Are you someone that is a natural leader that wants to shot call and tell everyone else how to follow a plan and to make sure everyone's being coordinated? Or are you the type of person that can really fill any role that you need to? You're adaptable. You are really good at listening while still playing. And then when there's a set plan in motion, you can add on to that to even make it better. So this is one of the things that we look for in all the players is what can they uniquely contribute to a team.
And not only contribute, but to pad each other's weaknesses. So for
Right.
Michael's example, the natural born leader might have a lot of charisma. They might be very outgoing and outspoken, but they might also not be as good as someone else on the team at recovering if things are not going to plan. Maybe they have struggle, I think, regaining momentum if it's lost. And there could be someone else on the team who maybe is not such a great leader, but is a source of morale or an anchor for the team. So we aren't looking for 6 individuals with the same personality. We don't have a specific archetype of player we're looking to pick up when we're in these tryouts. We're looking for chemistry. We're looking for synergy. We're looking for compatible pieces and players that want to grow. So Mike, talk to me a little bit about maybe this year as an example. What kind of parts do we have this year? How might it differ from other teams or other previous years?
Right. So with this year, because everyone was new coming in, we had really a fresh start where we could build a base however we wanted to. And the way that manifested itself was we take a bunch of players who are more interested in the big picture. They want to succeed so bad that they don't mind if they're not the ones that are carrying, they're not the ones that are making all the flashy plays. Instead, it's what can we do to help each other out, to help the whole team. And then that's really, I think, where we find a lot of the success that we're having is being able to work together well to execute plans and to make sure that maybe the players that this is what I talked about before, where you have different types of players, maybe the playmaker that we're investing all of our resources into can really succeed because he has the backing of the whole team and the support of the whole team that's helping them in that moment. So it really just goes back to making sure that all the players are in their natural roles and they can play how they want to play and then be boosted past 100% doing that. So when you have some players that are looking to play make and then other players are looking to be reliable, that's where you can find a lot of the success.
How about substitutes? Do we have a bench, Mike? What does our bench contribute to our team? What is their purpose?
Yeah, and this is sort of unique year to year because we'll find different players that can contribute in ways that they find that maybe we haven't even thought of before. And one way right now is we have a sub, Patrak, who's really good at tank, and he'll be able to fill in whenever he needs to, even if it's beyond tank. So we've done subs differently each year, and it depends on what we really need that year, I think. It's not always going to be the same way that the past years have been working. And this year is also unique in the fact that we have rotating 7 starters with 3 DPS, so that way they can really focus in on their skill set, and we can bring out that when it's appropriate.
So I think that's really worth highlighting is that, again, like every year, the players you have available will be different. You can have the same guiding pillars and principles and philosophies when building a team, but you also have to realize that every person is a unique individual. You're never going to find exactly what you're looking for in these tryouts. So you need to be flexible. You need to have a little bit of luck, but life will find a way. And so long as you have a keen eye for talent and you know the type of culture you want to build, the people will be there. You just have to look hard enough. You have to dig deep enough. Funny story, one of the players, one of our rotating DPS players, Fade, who is kind of that playmaker for us, we pour a lot of our resources into, wasn't with us at the beginning of this year. We did an initial set of tryouts looking to get as many people interested as possible. That's what we used to build our initial iteration of the 2020 roster. But we still felt like we were missing that big playmaker, that kind of extra oomph. So we decided to hold a secondary tryout to look for, kind of sift through in case we missed anything. And we didn't actually catch him with that tryout either. He just happened to shoot us an email one day, and explain kind of like, oh, hey, like I used to play in Contenders. I was a UCI student. I'm returning now. I know tryouts are over, but maybe we can sit down and talk. And I really want to get a shot here. So sometimes, Lady Luck does have a hand to play in these sort of situations. So expect the unexpected, expect things to be unpredictable, but have a game plan, I think, is some good advice.
Yeah, we intentionally set out to find these types of players, and then sometimes even that doesn't work, but it always comes back to, if the player is there, then they'll be looking to play too and demonstrate their skills. So sometimes it's just going to work out like that.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I think it's pretty great to be able to share all this with everyone. I want to give a huge shout out to our coaches here who were willing to share some of their wisdom and experience with everyone, especially on short notice. We threw this together pretty quickly to hit a deadline. So want to thank them. Overall, I would say the most fun I have in this job is trying to build a perfect team, a perfect product, a championship team out of imperfect pieces. And that's from full-time staff. We're imperfect. Our coaches are imperfect. Sorry, guys. And our players are imperfect. And so how can you build this perfect winning team culture program with a bunch of flawed individuals who are all missing something? So that's the most exciting piece for me. There's no secret place to find players. There's no list that you're going to look up. So really recommend just keep your eyes and ears open. As we share, we found a superstar playmaker just because we check our email. I hope that's a little bit helpful for everybody. We're going to continue to do some series. We'll sprinkle in coaches and other parts of our program from League of Legends. You'll hear from Hillary later to hear what her role is and how important she is. But I just want to say thank you for listening. Hope this is helpful. Stay tuned for more. And until then, take care, stay safe, and yeah, keep up with that social distancing.
Wash your hands.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Yeah.